It's time for an April TBR. Hi, I'm Colleen Delaney. If you're new here, I talk about books and writing, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to be doing an April TBR video. And that is because April sort of marks the beginning of nice weather where I live. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to have like a true spring in April because I live too far north for that, but we usually get one or two really beautiful sunny days that I can sit outside and read all day, and sitting outside and reading is like my happy place. So I am so happy that we are getting to the time of year where I can do that again. I decided to put a lot of books on my TBR because I kind of want to mood read this month and see what I'm in the mood for different days and what I feel like reading. So there's more on this TBR than I can probably read unless we end up having so much nice weather that I'm just sitting outside all day, every day, reading in the shade. Sounds lovely. We are going to start the TBR with some books I got from Aardvark Book Club, which I was lucky enough to get a box from them that had three books in it that I am super excited about, and they gave me a discount code for anyone who wants to start a membership with them. So if you like the sound of these next three books, go ahead. I'll put a link in the description that you can click over to their website and check out their book subscription service, which I think is amazing. I did a video last week, I think, yes, that will give you more information about that, and I'll put that in the description as well. The first book that I know I'm definitely going to read this month because I'm really excited for it is The New Life by Tom Crew. This is historical fiction. So it's 1894, and John and Henry are two men who have been working on a book about basically homosexuality and why it's natural and not something that should be criminalized or that people should like be afraid of. They are both married. John has a extramarital lover named Frank, and Henry's wife Edith probably has a lover who's a woman, but like it kind of hints at it in the description. This book is gonna sort of follow the dynamics of both of their marriages, but also right before they're supposed to publish their book, Oscar Wilde is arrested for sodomy. And this is a historical fact. He was arrested more than once, I'm pretty sure. I meant to do a deep dive before I filmed this video, but I did not. But I think it's more than once. And now they have to decide whether or not publishing their book is worth ostracization, which will definitely happen, and possibly imprisonment. I cannot wait to read this. It was shelved as historical fiction, but it also said romance as one of like the minor categories. So I am really looking forward to this. My next book from Aardvark Book Club was The Big Swiss by Jean Began. This is a lit fic / romance, which I'm excited because I don't think I've ever read a lit fic / romance. I know they exist. Our main character is Greta, and she lives in Hudson, New York, in like a house that sounds hilariously falling down and is infested with bees. She works as a transcriptionist for a sex therapist, and when she is transcribing one of the client's sessions, she like slowly falls in love with this client, just listening to her talk. One day, Greta's at the park and she overhears this voice and she recognizes it. Now, she calls this woman Big Swiss. That's like her nickname because she doesn't have a real name. And she introduces herself to her, but doesn't tell her who she is. And they end up having an explosive affair. I cannot wait to read this. I think it's going to be great. It also has already been optioned for either a movie or a TV show. I'm not sure. And if you're like me, I really want to read the book first, always. So if that sounds like something interesting that you'll either want to read or watch, grab a copy of it. My last book from Aardvark Book Club is The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. This is historical fantasy. It takes place on a magical island off the coast of Ireland. Our narrator is Biddy, and she's lived there since she was a child, and she has a guardian named Rowan, who is a powerful magician. One night, Rowan doesn't come home, and Biddy has to venture into the outside world to find him, but Rowan has a lot of powerful enemies, and she has to go on this like grand adventure to try and find her guardian. I think this sounds like it's going to be a really fun fantasy journey coming of age story. Those are all my books from the Aardvark Book Club, so now let's move on. I have one book left over from last month from Book of the Month that I didn't read yet, and it's I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. This is a lit fic with some dark academia vibes. Our main character in it is Bodhi, and she is a successful filmmaker and podcaster, but she has like a really dark past. She didn't have a good childhood. She hated the boarding school she went to for high school, and the spring of her senior year, her roommate was murdered. She's always felt really uneasy about how quickly the murder was sort of tied up, and now she has gotten an offer to teach at this school, so she decides to go back and see what she can find. I'm really excited. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about how good this is. The bookstore I used to work at had an event with Rebecca Mackay 2 nights ago. I follow them on Instagram still, and it was packed. So that makes me really excited. I think it'll be a fun read. My next book is a historical fiction, and it is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. Alice Wright has married an American basically to get away from England, and she ends up in Kentucky, which, considering this takes place in the 1930s, I imagine that's very jarring, especially as she's coming from London. But what follows next is that she answers the call to be a horseback riding librarian through the mountains, which was a thing that happened during the Depression, and she's going to be one of them. I've wanted to read this for a long time. A, I'm a librarian. B, I love books about libraries and librarians. Also, I could never be this kind of librarian. While I can definitely wrangle like 32-year-olds, I'm afraid of horses. So I think this will be a super fun read. I was just looking at this, wishing so badly that I had like a long plane flight, because I feel like this would be a perfect book to read on a long plane flight. But alas, I do not. Let's move on to romance. I've got Someone to Love by Mary Bello. I never know how to say her name, but she's quite famous. And in this one, Anna Snow is our heroine. And she has grown up in an orphanage and has just found out that her father was actually an earl, that he died and he left her all his money. So she goes from orphan to lady like that. She also finds out she has a bunch of siblings, and she reaches out to them, and none of them want anything to do with her. So she's kind of floundering through society when this man, Avery, who is a duke, finds her and sort of like is drawn to her, wants to take care of her, wants to help her in society. I know this has like a ton of books in the series, because when I bought it at Half Price Books, there were like 5 in a row, and I almost bought them all, but then I thought I should probably try the first one first. So I am looking forward to this. I hope that I'm gonna absolutely fall in love with this and have to read the rest of the books in the series. Then I have A Scandalous Deal by Joanna Shoup. This is book 2 in the 400 series. I read book 1 in March, so you'll get my review of that next week. And obviously, since I want to read book 2, it was good. So in this one, we're in the Gilded Age, because Joanna Shoup writes in the Gilded Age, which is like early New York City-ish. And Eva Hyde is our heroine, and she has 3 dead fiancés, and people think she's very unlucky and that maybe she's cursed. And so Philip Mansfield is her hero, and he is building a hotel. She, I think, is financing it, and they're going to fall in love, and he doesn't care about the 3 dead fiancés. But then some accidents start happening, and now she's wondering if someone's actually trying to like kill the men she's supposed to marry. I can't wait. Joanna Shoup is a master. Next, I've been actually doing like a really good job on my ARCs, my advanced reader copies, so I only have one for April, and it is Barbarians Mate by Ruby Dixon. So I never know how to classify these, but I think it's like sci-fi erotica is the best way to say it. And we're back on Not Hoth with huge hulking blue alien men, and this is Josie's book. Now, I actually know the entire plot of this because Heaving Bosoms, which is one of my favorite podcasts, did a recap episode of this years ago. It's one of my favorite episodes. I've listened to it 5 times maybe, but that doesn't diminish my excitement at all about reading the book. It probably makes me more excited. I was feeling kind of off the series after I finished the last one. This one gets me excited for it again. So I can't wait to tell you about these large blue aliens and their exploits. Lastly, usually this is the time of the video in which I would splice in a clip of me picking out my book of the month choice of the month, but I'm not going to this month because we are going on vacation tomorrow. And while there's a small chance the books will be released early, I don't think they'll be released early enough that I can film, edit, and get this video out on the day I want to, just because of the way midweek falls when I tend to like the videos to come out. Looking at my books, I did not have a thriller for this month, though I know I have some questions for you, has some thriller vibes, but maybe I'll try to pick a thriller. I think that the new Kate Morton might be one of the books that comes out with Book of the Month, and I do really want to read that, so I'll get that if it's available. I will put in a clip in my March wrap-up if you are super curious as to what I picked and what I might be reading in April. I hope you are just as excited as I am for some warm weather and hopefully some sunny days reading outside. If you are still hanging out, thank you. And please drop me a sunshine emoji in the comments because that is what I'm looking forward to. I know it's like April showers, which we do have rainy Aprils, but we also get a few of those bright sunny days, which just are really good for the soul. As always, I hope you're in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, or about to start writing a great book. See you soon.